Once again, the sky darkens. Clouds roll overhead, and a gentle rain begins to fall upon London. It has only been an hour or so that has passed since Donica saw the news bulletin that a public search has begun for him, being led by his wife. And he vanished into the night. The three of you now stand at the gates of Bedlam. You have been given a decision. You either make your own way or Squeak can drive you back into central London. It is entirely up to you at this stage. How do you feel, Tess, after spending the night in such a dismal place? The day, rather. The day.
Yeah, her day-night cycle, just everything feels backwards still. She thinks of it as daytime when she's awake and doing things, even though it's always night. And she finds herself mentally referring to it as now it's the next day. But she's uneasy. I mean, it's been non-stop, one thing after another, and bullets and car chases and tigers, and that there has been no rest, it seems. And she just wants to go back and sit down. Just not do something for a little bit. Bedlam was not terribly restful.
The aim of the session is to sit down and put your feet up. Excellent. Toph, how's Toph feeling this night? As
there's not many of these moments for Toph, but this is one of them where he's kind of glad he has the life that he has, because he could be a lot worse off. When Sin embraced him, he probably saw that more of a curse than a blessing. But as he's gotten to know more of these different clans, he's thankful that even though he doesn't like authority and he oftentimes will rail against it, at least he's maintained a certain degree of sanity. At least sanity, that's predictable. These Machiavellians, not predictable, and that's scary. Scary to Toph. So yeah, he's probably got that sense of relief as he's like getting ready to leave.
And how's Siegfried up to? And how is Siegfried, rather, and what has he been up to?
Yes, Siegfried would be feeling a similar sense of relief to Toph at leaving Bedlam. He has a similar distrust for what he's met of the Malkavians so far, and is happy to be out of such a dismal, dirty place. He's confused as to why every single vampire clan, it seems, has to make their base in a shithole rather than somewhere nice. So he's excited to kind of have that over with for the time being, and have just the briefest moment to try to regather themselves as a group and as individuals to try to sort out what the next game plan is going to be.
Phenomenal. So you stand. Perhaps you've been given umbrellas from the entrance hall of Bedlam. You stand in the rain, and you can now decide whether you're going to make your own way back or if you would like to get a lift back into central London. Over to you.
Hey, I don't know how you guys are thinking, but I'd much prefer to get a ride back into town than waste such a beautiful night walking.
And works for me. I'm not really much for hitchhiking.
Fair enough.
You it's then that you notice that Squeak has been stood not that far away from you for you don't know how long. He's just there. He's just drawing another wheezing breath upon a stubby cigarette, which he drops to the ground, pulls his Santa hat a bit further on top of his weirdly shaped head, and he says, "Where to?"
Toph doesn't wait for the others to say anything. He just says, "The shard."
"Right you are then. The shard it is." Oh, and he reaches into a pocket on his stained trousers and pulls out a brown and bent and creased-looking card, and he presses it into your hands, Tess. And it's simply a business card with a phone number that says cleaners upon it.
Thank you, Squeak, just as I requested. Very helpful.
You're very welcome. Shall we? Well, in that case, you are able to climb into the back of the elongated black saloon, and you are driven through the streets of London. As the lights flash by and evening traffic is ebbing slightly, is there anything you wish to discuss? If there is there anything that you wish to plan on your journey towards the Shard? It'll take a little while to drive there.
Toph, don't you think you should at least change clothes? And she gestures to the blood-covered, bullet-ridden outfit.
Toph maybe for the first time realizes what he looks like, and he's looking down and he's like, "Yeah, that might be a good idea." He would like tap the glass. Wait, is it separated by a glass where Squeak sits to the back? I guess I just always pictured that there'd be like a glass or something.
Yeah, there is the glass thing in the way, yeah, because you couldn't see him initially when you first got driven to the zoo. It's blackened out.
Yeah, so he would tap the glass and just ask Squeak if he could swing by his flat, and he would give him the address. And I guess we'll just go from there, because I don't think Squeak wants to be our chauffeur. So, and I don't want to piss this dude off.
Yeah, the glass goes and the sort of winds down to the bottom, and he goes, "What is it?"
Yeah, change of plans. Wonder if you could, and he would rattle off his address. Drop us off there instead.
He just brakes, turns the car around, and starts driving in the opposite direction. You are now clearly taking him out of his way.
Please and thank you.
Yeah, so just as the glass is almost up, Toph goes, "Yeah, please and thank you."
You arrive, first of all, then at Toph's address. It is run down, it is battered. It's in Camden, I believe it was, Lionel, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
So it's a dive, but it's your dive, and you arrive back in your... I imagine it to be on the ground level. Am I...
Actually, it's like you got to go down these dark, narrow stairs.
Yes, it's a basement room. Yes.
And it's like the one where the light never really works. It always goes flick, 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 flick. Yeah, and it just smells. You could smell you already know what the apartment's going to be like before you even go into it, because you can smell it. Just smells like stale.
Just I know we've obviously been here before in game, just to refresh in our memories. What are the rest privy to then as you step into Toph's abode? What is it like? All
right. So the quick way to describe it is it's the anti-Siegfried's flat. It's like the mattress is kind of ratty. It's got some holes in it. It's got like maybe a blanket and a topper thrown over it, but it probably has never been made. And it's just resting on the floor. This is not a great apartment. It's literally like one big room with like a washroom off of it. And the tile in the washroom is just dirty. You know, he doesn't use the toilet, so it's rot. You know, he never cleans it. You can just smell that something is probably rotten in the fridge from a guest that he had left in there. And I think what I had said is that if, you know, black light and like painting, like just graffiti all over the walls. And of course, like the windows are like blacked out.
Perfect. As you enter and flick the light switch, there is an eruption of noise from a pile of rubbish in the corner that wasn't there when you last left your house, your flat, as something darts rapidly across the room and then stops when it gets sight of you. Gavin looks at you with bloodshot, desperate eyes and says, "Where's Ratu?"
Ratu's taking care of some business. And out of character, I had totally forgot that we had left him here.
Yep, he's been here all this time.
And Toph doesn't even look at the other two when he says, maybe you can go find him. Maybe that might be a good idea.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm afraid I didn't really have much to eat, so I started tucking into this. And he hands what looks to be half, like a kilo now, of speed to you. Which is just sort of like loose in like a cellophane bag now. You can see parts of it, you know, it just... he's been just eating that the whole time. So he basically is on another level right now. I cannot even begin to explain it to you. And he says, "Where is this business taking place? Tell me immediately."
Toph is just going to say the first thing that comes to his head. He goes, "World's End. That's where you need to go."
In a blur, he sprints from the room.
And at that point, Toph would look at Tess and Sig and be like, and then he would proceed to then go to these crumpled clothes that are just kind of spread across the floor in different arrays, hanging from a chair. And he's just like, he'll sniff one, pulls it on, just doesn't care, pulls his trousers off, throws it off into a corner and pulls on a new pair. He'll look at his jacket that now has just got several bullet holes in it. He'll put his finger through a couple of them, and then he'll put his jacket back on. Yeah, I look good now, don't I? And he would turn around, kind of like run his fingers through his long hair, pull it back.
Or less bad at the least.
Well, we can't be as pretty as you there, Sig. But I can try like hell.
I think doing laundry would be a good first step.
That's the clean. He points to like an array of clothes. He goes, "That's the clean. There's the dirty." And you would notice that as he's throwing clothes off, he does throw them in an opposite direction from the clean pile. He goes, "It works for me."
Toph, this place is atrocious. That stench, I don't even want to know what died. I thought it might be Gavin. I cannot believe he's been here and is alive. Oh, God. Donik's going to have to deal with that at some point.
Well, it doesn't have a feminine touch, but it's not that bad, right? Right, Sig? It's not that bad. And he's totally full of shit. He knows it's bad.
And Sig just gives you this look like, you've seen what my place looks like, and you're seeing what your place looks like. You're trying to get me on your side here.
Yeah, and I guess as we're leaving, as he's kind of like the last one going up, he would make like trying to lock the door. But one of the things you would have noticed that this door's been kicked in several times, and it's probably just barely hanging on. So he kind of pulls it closed, and then they would hear him kind of mumble as he's going up. He goes, "I've been meaning to clean up. I mean, jeez."
So first sitting down and now laundry. What heights will we reach next, I wonder? What is it that you would all like to do at this stage?
So I think it's one of those things we all get outside of where the brownstone like building that Toph's apartment's in, or his flat's in, and we're just all standing there, and there's that awkward moment where everyone's just not really saying anything, and then Toph would say, "Well, I'm planning on going to the Shard. You're welcome to come along with me."
Why? Why there?
I got business there. I got to get a new phone too. And he would probably take out this phone that, like a piece of it drops off onto the pavement. Got to get a new phone too. Get that on the way.
The Shard is giving you phones?
No, I'm going to buy one.
Okay.
He lies. I would never take a phone from someone from the Shard.
Good, because Donica would have a fit. They're probably tapped or cloned or whatever it is.
When you say cloned, he kind of raises an eyebrow. He's like, "Yeah, right. That's right. Probably cloned." And he has no freaking clue what you're talking about. He just recently learned that if you take pictures and send them or post them on like a social media, that they live there forever.
Well, I'm not particularly fond of the Shard, and he kind of will like look over to Tess and like raise an eyebrow. If that's the plan, then I guess it's the plan. I don't know why you're going there.
That's half the fun, Toph would say, as he would scoop his arm around each one of you and start moving you along. Sorry I cut you off, Taylor.
No, she's just like, I mean, to be honest, I'd kind of been thinking about it a little. I didn't really have a chance to, I don't know, debrief after everything with Winchester, and there might be some information that we could get or something.
I actually think it's a good thing for you to do, Tess.
I thought you hated the Camarilla.
I do. But you're not me.
Yeah, I would never live in a place like that.
I'm going to clean it up. Shit. Anyways. Sig has met his kind, his clan. I think you should spend some time with yours.
He only met one. It hardly counts. What was it? Cinder? Simber? Ember? Cinderella? I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, Toph would shake his head. He can't remember her name. He didn't really care.
It was Cinder.
It looks like Jeff's having a...
Yeah, I was because I would have thought that Jeff was going to
I
come in
didn't
and
realize
sort
he
of correct
dropped
you.
off.
Yeah, and then he yeah.
Just been quiet.
Okay, well, whilst we see...
Well, one of the things that Toph would do too, so that and Sig wouldn't see it, he'd give her a wink when he says that about spending some time with your own. And then he would probably add to it. He goes, it had to felt like you fit when we were there before, didn't it?
I mean, everything was still just crazy and new, and I mean, Anne seems cold, but reasonable at least. At least I thought. I don't know. Is Mr. G like me?
No.
No.
No, he's nothing like you.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean, and I hope, Tess, you never get like that. And he would get all serious. He's usually kind of just light and jokes things off, but you would see him get really serious. Maybe the way his arm that's around you gets a little bit tighter before he realizes he's doing that, and then he kind of just awkwardly takes it off. But he doesn't take the arm off of Sig.
Yeah, Jess is kind of walking, and she looks at your arm slung around Siegfried, and she leans forward and, Sig, are you gonna come with us?
I don't want to go, but I don't want to be alone either. So, yeah.
That is such an opening for Toph. He takes his arm off, but he steps in front of you, Sig, and he just goes, "That's right. We wouldn't want you to be alone." And you go and turn and start walking. Or less Siegfried does anything. He's super fast, so he would be able to react before I turned.
Yeah, Siegfried would just like wince as if you would like slapped him in the face.
Tess
Well-
looks at Sig and it's like,
I don't know.
That really, really got me. That really made me laugh. You've obviously been dropped off, but did you ask Squeak to then give you a lift to the shard, or did you just get out and...
Personally, I didn't want to be with Squeak any longer because that dude is creepy as fuck.
Okay.
So, and he was already PO'd when I said, "Hey, can you take me here instead?" So I don't think Toph would have wanted him because, like, it being his chauffeur. I don't think the others. I don't know if the others understand.
Sure. Okay, so yeah, you have to make your own way to the shard then, but it won't take you too long. Are you gonna get a taxi? You gonna get a tube? Walk?
Come on, guys! You don't want Toph leading you on this adventure.
Tess just kind of looks around and she's like, looks at her empty hands. I don't have any of my stuff. Oh, God. The fetch has it. Or Winchester had it. I don't know. You didn't see a purse when you came in, did you?
I wasn't looking for a fucking purse.
We were a little distracted by, the hordes of people with machine guns. Sorry.
I just thought I'd ask. Yeah, I mean, we could go to it, but I don't have my tube pass. I don't have a credit card. I don't have anything.
I'll just call an Uber. It'll be easy enough. And I'll take out his phone.
You absolutely take an Uber to the shard. You are introduced to a man named Johan, who is a driver and has been driving for many, many years, and he intends to inform you with as much knowledge about his life as possible on the journey. It is a barrage of conversation.
I've had this driver.
We all do.
I think that's a requirement to be an Uber driver.
And the man really wants the 5 stars, and even drops it in as you go to finish up and pay the money through on the app. which I presume you're going to do. I presume you're going to pay for your Uber?
Yeah, no, he would have like his card attached to it and everything. He would just pay through automatically.
For sure, okay. And then you are there. You are on the plaza before the towering shard that reaches into the night sky. It welcomes you back.
Toph would make an over-the-top show of opening the front door and doing one of these things, and he'd say, "Ladies first."
Do we go find Mr. G?
Do you want to talk to Mr. G?
I don't know.
We're having this kind of conversation. I'm holding the door for you.
Like, just she go ahead, walks in. Hey, I don't know. It was your idea.
Well, I got some stuff I got to get taken care of here for Sid. I thought maybe you guys could get to know the place.
Oh.
Now that we don't have certain entanglements with us.
Yeah, well, which floors don't have humans?
You know,
Toph-
the
Toph
sorry.
shrugs.
Well, it would have been demonstrated to you at one point. I'm pretty sure it was explained that at least the top number of floors are purely for the presence of vampires. I would say the top 10 or 8 floors would be where you would be aiming for. Or you could visit all the other attractions within the shard. It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, Toph is going to see Mr. G. But he doesn't tell that to the other ones. To the others, I mean.
And so we'll just kind of look over to Tess like, well, we're here. What now?
I mean, I guess technically Mr. G is our best contact. It's not a bad place to start. To the
I don't know.
elevators.
I think a random stranger might be a better place to start than him, but it's just me.
I don't suppose there's a vampire behind the information desk.
It doesn't look to me. It looks to be a human.
Oh, okay. I will not ask them the questions.
I would imagine, or at least how I see it, is when we get to the first floor where the vampires floors start, there would probably be like an information.
That's correct. Yeah.
So
we've been there before.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you going up that way?
Yep.
Okay.
Once Toph gets in the elevator, he hits all the buttons. He does one of those.
Wait, before or after you get out of the elevator?
Before.
Oh my goodness. So you
No, he'll do it.
Tess would get off at the next floor and then go get on one of the other elevators.
Sure. You finally make it to the top, despite this, or rather near the top, and you are at the reception. There appears to be rather youthful-looking vampire with sort of black hair that's swept, sort of oiled back on his head, and he sort of gives you like a light sneer as you approach the desk.
Toph would jump up onto the desk, so he's like sitting on it, and turn down to him and says, "My friends and I are here to see Mr. G. Is he in?"
Do you have an appointment?
Yep.
Name?
Toph, Tess, Siegfried.
Is that it, or doesn't matter? Let me look. And he brings up like the thing on his computer, and he seems to be like deliberately just taking his time, drawing the mouse ever so slowly across, clicking. I'm afraid we don't have an appointment booked for you.
Are you sure? might want to look again. I think Mr. G was very explicit when he said that he wanted to meet with us tonight.
Well, there's nothing here. I can call him.
Why don't you do that? Give him a call. Tell him we're here. This is really important.
Okay. Yes, hello, sir. Sorry to disturb you. I have a... Sorry, what was it? Toff?
Toph is kind of looking over at the elevators because they just heard it ding and he's not paying attention.
Yes. Toff and Tess and Siegfried.
A Toff, a Tess, and a... Yes, them. Yes, absolutely. No, I won't call again. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Puts it down. If you'd like to take a seat, he'll be with you shortly.
Yeah, Tess will just go sit down in one of the marginally comfortable chairs in the lobby next to the months-old magazines.
There would not be month-old magazines. They'd be updated every day. These are vampires.
That's true.
They are in vogue. Come on.
This is the best waiting room we've ever been in.
We've got spectacular views because on the outside walls, obviously all glass, so you can see, London sprawling beneath you. You all wait for a while, and that while extends to a long while, and then that long while turns into almost an hour. And eventually, two double doors open, and Mr. Gisborne strides through, immaculately shining shoes, pressed black suit, black tie, and that peroxide blonde hair. And he strides towards you and stops abruptly, and he says, "What is it?"
You want to just talk right here? Or you want to go to your office?
Very well. Turns and he leads you through a corridor, up some stairs, to a different floor, and finally reach his office that you've been in before. He sweeps behind his old antique desk, and he remains standing. What do you want?
Well, and he would look kind of nervously at the other two. He was actually hoping that they wouldn't be here, but he also knows that he couldn't just ask them not, because they would start probably getting suspicious, like, what is Toph doing meeting with this guy alone? So there's just no other way around it, so he just says it. He goes, I think Donica's going off the rails.
In what way do you believe him to be going off the rails?
Tough.
He hasn't been the same since Winchester. And if he wants to do that, that's fine, but I don't want him taking me down, and then I sure as hell don't want him taking down these two.
And what exactly, pray tell, do you expect us to do about that?
I don't expect you to do a damn thing, but I want you to know that he's doing his own thing. And I don't want you guys, because I know how you fuckers work, blaming them for what he does. Or me.
Remove Donica from the contract.
I beg your pardon?
The contract that you coerced Toph into signing, which I'm fairly certain is not legitimate. Remove Donica from it.
And why on earth would I do that?
So that if, for some reason, the Camarilla thinks that he is Off the rails, as it were. Our names are not tied to his.
This is very interesting. It is curious to me how contradictory your behavior has been over these past nights. I had warned you, and I had specifically told you to remove anything within your lives that would count as an attachment. And you all complained, you all objected, and now it seems you want nothing but detachment from your friend who so insisted on destroying a number of human lives simply to get you. What am I to make of this strange and deluded behavior?
Siegfried's gonna look over at Toph and Tess. Like his teeth are like clenched, and so is his fist. No, this isn't right. Donika's been nothing but a friend to me, to us. If it's tying together or pushing people apart, then fuck it. I'll go down with him. We came this way by helping each other out. And he's gonna like look at Tess when he says that. I'm not gonna stand here and let us do the opposite to somebody else.
Toph would just start to growl. It's something you've never heard him do before. And he doesn't look at you. And he's got his hand on the back of this chair, and you just hear the cracking of the wood as he kind of just crushes his fingers into it. So that's what you want to do then, Sig? You want to fucking throw it all away? Because let me tell you something. He's on a destructive path. You want to get there with him? And he puts his hands up and he says, "That's on you."
It's not what I said, Toph. Look, I don't agree with everything that Donika does. And I have no intention to follow him down whatever thing that he's doing. But we have to stick together. We have to be more than... And he like is about to say something, and he just looks at Mr. Gisborne there like it's obvious. I consider my attachments, my friends, a blessing and a tool and a positive in this afterlife. That's a danger, and it's a danger I'll proudly have. It's better to be dangerous and alive than soulless like these people.
Mr. G, hold on. Can I have a private word with my associates? And he would, if Mr. G, as long as Mr. G gives it the nod, he's going to guide them right outside of his office, unless Mr. G says no.
He's just staring at you, and you can see a level of cold calculation to the look that he's giving you. And he says, "You have 1 minute, and you must return here."
He's going to quickly like lift up underneath their arms and just guide them out the door real quick. And once the door closes, he's going to spin around on Sig and say, "What the fuck are you doing?
What the fuck are you doing?
Listen, I have a plan. We're not throwing Donika down, but just trust me. Trust Tess. She knows how to deal with snakes like this."
Siegfried, I'm not abandoning Donika, but if I can get him out of this contract, then he is not beholden to them anymore, which is something he wants more than anything.
Well, maybe if you guys would fucking tell me what we're doing before we rush into people's offices and start talking.
I didn't know we were going to be doing that. I'm thinking on my feet. You just have to trust me.
I do trust you more than any of these other people that we've met. But I have to know what we're doing too. I didn't even know what you guys were doing in there. I thought we were just throwing him under the bus, betraying friends, like all the other people we've met so far have been so keen to do. You don't think you could have told me one thing, Toph? To just stop just barging into every fucking thing before we get a chance to talk and know what's going on? You don't think that might have been useful today?
If Toph could blush, get that red in his cheeks, he probably would. He kind of looks down, and he looks up and he goes, "You're right. You're right. I gotta remember, it's not just me. I gotta let you guys know.
You do.
Listen.
That was stupid.
Listen, we gotta get Donica off of the contract. We gotta have some insulation because I don't know what he's gonna do. Just in case he totally loses it. I don't know if he will. I don't want him to. We don't want him to. Okay? But we have to protect ourselves. We have to think about ourselves, Sig.
Shut up, Toph. You talk too much.
He stops. He doesn't know what to do when Tess just said that.
Just wish I would have known.
I didn't know either. But once I figured out where Toph's mind was, that is what Donica wants more than anything, is to be free of the Camarilla. And if I can help him, even if it doesn't look like I'm helping him, I am going to. I owe you guys everything.
Siegfried is clearly embarrassed, very if he could be flush, he would be because he was under the assumption that people were just throwing Donica away, and now it's clear that he's probably fucked up the plan instead of been the good person, and he doesn't know what to say. He just says I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Siegfried, it's okay. I mean, you have a good heart. But it's like Toph said, this is not my first time going around with people who have bad ideas and bad motives and just see you as tools. Humans and vampires aren't all that different in a lot of ways. Now, if we can pull ourselves together and Toph can stop breaking furniture, don't think I didn't notice, then maybe we can finish our talk with Mr. G.
Toph is totally cowed. He doesn't say anything. He gets ready to start saying something, then he figures, no, I probably shouldn't say anything. And he just kind of very solemnly nods his head and opens the door for Tess.
She walks back in.
Yeah, Mr. Gisborne hasn't moved an inch from where he was stood when you left. Are you quite finished?
Unlikely, but finished enough.
Prudent, you would say that, for there is work still to be done. Your friend will not be relieved from his duties. He will remain upon the contract.
Toph looks at Tess.
Look, at the very least, that contract was signed under undue influence and intimidation. More than likely it was under duress. Either way, it's not valid.
All of those things that you have suggested are merely to enforce our law.
And what law would that be? I assume that there are some articles of association for the Camarilla. Surely it can't all be word of mouth. Wouldn't this be prudent to give to New Kindred? You say that you've told us things, but there has been nothing in writing.
We have very good memories.
Then I suggest you pass that information along before you throw us into the deep end again.
Your friend was well aware of the circumstances. He was not deceived, he was not bullied, he knew exactly what he was signing for, and he did so regardless.
I'm also talking about us, when we were new. You say that we're not sticking to your rules or whatever, but we don't know them all. You haven't given us those rules.
If you were to let me finish, I would have said that no, your friend cannot be removed from the contract, but there is nothing that stops you from doing the work in his stead. It must be done, and it must be completed. If you believe he deserves to be exempt from the toils and hardships that you will face, then by all means, do it without him. But his name remains. This is non-negotiable. If you wish to know more of our laws, then absolutely. It is the first sensible suggestion you've made to me since you have been turned.
Well, seeing as when I was turned, I was not fully made known of the laws that existed, I didn't even know to ask for them. Might I find a copy somewhere?
You will be provided with the relevant information.
I want all the information, not just the relevant information.
You will be introduced to someone who will teach you.
I want a venture.
You would be getting one regardless.
I want a woman.
Arrangements will be made.
As for the contract, may I see it? I would know what we're bound to.
You may. I'll have a copy sent to you.
I would like to see it now. As you
You'll
said, we have
have
excellent memories.
a copy sent to you
When?
before you leave.
Before we leave tonight?
Whenever you leave, you are free to go as you please.
So if we left now, we would be handed one on the way out?
If I were to send a message, yes. But you still you are required to complete the favors that are due.
What favors would those be? And to whom?
3, on behalf of the Camarilla. Perhaps they would benefit you. Perhaps you will see that aligning yourselves with our way of life could be fruitful.
That has been my intention all along. However, you've made it quite difficult.
As have you, child, chasing your former life, getting captured, so very nearly breaching everything that we hold dear. You are to perform tasks for us. And it begins with the investigation of a crime. Something that has been occurring throughout the streets these past nights. None of our kind have yet investigated the scene at the top of Big Ben. There is still a large amount of evidence that we need to be made aware of.
Ripper, like we found down street.
Yes. like you found there.
You surely can't be under the illusion that we perpetrated that.
Did I say such a thing?
Tone has many implications, Mr. Gisborne.
As does yours. Is there anything further that you wish to discuss? It seems that you have a distaste for something. I would like you to tell me what that is.
Tess looks nervously at Siegfried and Toph, knowing that they both probably have 1,000 things they would love to say to Mr. G. Perhaps the root of our distaste, if I were to speak for all of us, is being viewed as so easily expendable.
You were unsanctioned.
Through no fault of our own.
There are many things in this life, as I have always said, and have said to you before, that are not our fault, yet we must deal with them. Perhaps your status, perhaps your existence would be better looked upon if you were to contribute, rather than sow destruction and chaos throughout our city.
Toph would quietly clear his throat. He hasn't dared to speak since they re-entered this office, leaving it totally up to Tess. And he has been nothing short of really impressed by what she has done. But he would clear his throat, and he's actually looking for permission from Tess to say anything before he does, which is outside of character for Toph.
Tess is in full lawyer mode, I mean, commanding the room, and she looks at Toph and gives him a little nod.
Thank you. Right. So we already know that they're unsanctioned. They can't change that. But I want you to know here and now, these two here, I'm fostering them. They may have been unsanctioned, but not anymore.
Whatever trivial title you wish to give yourself in relation to these child is of no consequence and of no importance to me. You are responsible for them, true. It is what got you upon this contract in the first place. I bid you begin to take that responsibility with a bit more respect.
He would look at, not at Mr. G, he would look at Tess, and he would look at Siegfried, and he would just be so impressed in the growth that he's seen in these fledgling vampires. And he says, I certainly am.
You always say that we have never told you anything, that we have never been more upfront with you, or we haven't treated you better, when all along you had a vampire, an experienced vampire, assigned to you throughout all of this time. Did you think this was coincidence? Did you think it was because you were friends? He has been ordered to do this.
Toph would kind of wince at that when he says that. Did you think that you were friends? And he would kind of just like it hurt, like he was struck by Mr. G.
Assigning a babysitter is one thing, but actually giving us information in writing that we might even review it if we wanted to, rather than remember cryptic half statements that you give us when we're brand new. still comprehending what has happened. That is very different.
This is survival. How many other creatures on this world do you believe to be so fostering as the humanity you have lost and left behind?
How many other creatures have secrets that they wish to keep from the wide world at large?
The ones that maintain control over it.
You're wrong about Toph, by the way. He's not here because he has to be. He tries to hide it, but he cares.
Indeed. We shall see. Is there anything else?
Who are we to meet? When and where?
You will be given those details shortly.
How?
You will be notified. You still have a mobile phone, do you not?
No.
Yeah, could you send that message to Siegfried?
It will
Yeah.
be arranged.
Given the chaos that ensued with Winchester, I have been separated from all of my personal effects.
He's speechless.
I need the name of someone to replace those. Whom would I speak to? I presume that's beneath you.
I have no earthly idea.
It was you
Do you not?
It was you who gave me the card, which was in my wallet, which again I do not have.
A replacement will be arranged.
When?
Soon.
Thank you.
You may go.
Would you like to know anything of what we discovered at Winchester?
Yes,
Or
you
is
were
that
to
for-
report to me.
And yet you're dismissing us without asking? Or should we go above your head for that? And Tess knows she's treading that line, but she wants to find out where the line is.
Siegfried, Toph, go for a walk.
Sig is gonna like look over at Tess with like a raised eyebrow, like,
Toph would kind of narrow his eyes at Mr. G. He doesn't move. You know, there's that part of him that says, move, just go. Don't make any more waves than you need to. But then he looks at Tess and then, you're not going to do anything to her, are you?
We are going to continue our conversation.
Okay. He'll take him at his word. And start to go. And if Sig's not going, he would just say, Sig, let's go. And we're just going to wait right outside the door. Or that's what Toph's going to do. Wait right outside the door.
yeah, Sig would give Tess one last look of like, are you sure it's okay that we go? And if he didn't get anything, he would follow Toph out. And like Toph says, literally stand like at the door.
And Tess
I just
isn't
thought
looking at you guys. She's holding Mr. G's gaze.
Perfect. But the one thing he would do is he'd do one of those little reassuring kind of touch right around the elbow and like a little squeeze, little reassuring thing as he walks out.
He is still standing where he'd been before. He hasn't moved from the spot. And he walks to his large chair and gestures for you to sit on the one opposite.
She waits until he's starting to sit down, and then she sits as he does.
Yep, he does so. And he leans forward. Listen to me very carefully. And that is where we're going to take a short break. For those of you watching, thank you for dropping by. Welcome to Performance Check. My name is Rob, and this is Vampire the Masquerade, London, session 12, Bloody Business. We're just going to take 5 minutes, and then we'll be back to continue this very tense conversation. See you in a bit.
Well, this is an interesting session.
That's the word for it.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting.
all according to plan, right?
I'm
No.
for Toph.
Yeah,
Yes.
by that I mean
for
absolutely
Tess,
not
I'd
at
say
all.
probably not.
according to-
Oh,
not
man.
remotely.
Yeah, he probably should have mentioned what he was going to do when he got there, but
Think?
You think?
yeah, probably. It's one of those hindsight things that when Siegfried says that, he's probably like, yeah, I probably should have said something to them. He was too busy thinking about his dirty apartment.
Oh yeah, that's the reason.
Yeah, that's it.
But Tess handled the situation beautifully.
Tessa's getting into her element, like negotiating and.
Remember the exchange that Toph and Tess had at the end of last session.
Mm-hmm.
When you think of that and then think of what's happening so far in this session, I mean, Toph's kind of crazy, but he's not totally dumb. He's not a Machiavellian. He's not like off his rocker. You can bet that anything Toph does, there's purpose behind it. It may not always make sense in the moment, but there's purpose behind it. And I'll just let you know, player to player, that exchange was very helpful for Toph, what he saw.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, that just makes me more uneasy for Toph and whatever machinations he has whirling in his little vampire brain.
Hey, he's foster dad, man. Come on. You're my
Oh,
babies.
great. I'm gonna call him Pop now.
Oh, don't call him Pop. Oh, yeah, I think we should say this, Taylor. We were figuring it out. Toph is actually younger than Tess, if you were to
In
look
human
at
years.
years.
Sorry, that took me a little while, guys. How are we feeling?
I wanted to find the line. Found it.
It could have been you were upon it the whole time.
I got my popcorn, man. I'm ready to sit in and listen to this conversation between Mr. G and Tess.
Yeah.
Before we
just
do
imagine
that-
like Sig and Toph with like their ears up at the door, like.
Dude, we're vamps. We don't need to do that.
Before we do that, I believe we will return to the game with Siegfried and Toph. Actually, are you just waiting outside? And is there anything that you're saying to each other?
I think Toph would look at Siegfried, and what he's looking for is that does Siegfried seem like he has more confidence in what's happening than when we had stepped outside to talk real quickly. He doesn't say it, he doesn't ask it, but he's looking at Siegfried for some kind of sign or whatnot. But he's also kind of like he's anxious. He still doesn't dare to say anything because he doesn't have test permission.
Yeah. It would be pretty obvious that Siegfried is definitely off-put and very nervous at the fact of Tess being in there by herself with someone like Mr. G. Like he would be like right next to the door, like if anything happened, like ready for like in case something happened. But at the same time, there's kind of an air of like, wow, look at her go. Like that was actually impressive. So a very strange mixture of like she's doing good work and holy shit, we need to be ready for disaster.
For sure. Within the office, Mr. Gisborne is now sat in front of you. And he opens a drawer at the side of him and pulls out a simple brown card file. And he unwraps the string that binds it together, opens it, turns to one page, reads something, turns it back. It has not escaped my notice that you possess at least a shred of intelligence. You differ in many ways from those that you now share your time with. Would you agree?
We certainly have different strengths.
As distasteful and ill-advised as many of your actions have been, you still differ from them in one very important way. You are Ventru. You are of the clan of kings. And this is why you are experiencing something far better than what would have occurred usually. You are enjoying the luxury of my patience because of that birthright. As you will also enjoy my teachings. You wish for someone to show you the way. It will be I that does so.
I had requested a woman, I believe.
I will teach you.
Or
your request will be ignored and you'll be subject to disciplinary action.
how do you intend to teach me?
I've been doing this a very long time, and I've learned a trick or two. You look upon me as some kind of frightful force. Someone that only wishes you ill. No one ever told you that it was I that petitioned for your lives.
Why
The
would
night
you do
returned.
that? Why?
I see promise.
We were brand new. You could see nothing.
You passed the tests that I put in place for you, did you not? As I explained to you that very night. You broke from the chrysalis by yourself.
When? How often? What length? Where?
When I choose. But you will be given time to prepare. We'll begin tomorrow. When the sun goes down. Return here. Send in Toff, I would speak with him.
Very well. She'll exit and probably bump into one of them. She opens the door.
For sure, for sure.
Tough.
Toph would just look at you, and seeing that you are no worse for wear, he would walk past you and close the door.
You aren't even really able to walk fully into the office because Mr. Gisman has moved from behind the desk and is now standing right by the door as the door closes. And he's very close, and he just walks up to you to an unnerving distance. And he said,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say Toph is going to try. I mean, it rubs against him to like cower or not be like an alpha, but it's really hard. You know, he's kind of shuffs, you know, moves from one foot to another, and kind of maybe even backs up and bumps into the door. Then he realizes, oh shit, I can't go any further back.
Next time you try and coerce someone, you should appear as a wolf, not the deer shaking in front of it. And he steps away.
So that's that then. And he would take like a step forward, kind of a little embarrassed that he backed up because he didn't want to. It was like I wanted to talk to you alone. I didn't want to talk with you with them.
Watch him. Do not take your eyes off him. Everything he does, report to me.
He would get really close, not like close like he got, but he'd move closer because I imagine he'd move back behind his desk.
Yeah.
He'd move to the front of the desk and he would put his hands down on it, palms down, and he'd say, "This is in confidence, right?"
Do you not trust me, Bruja?
Implicitly. But the others can't know.
They will not.
And I mean it. I don't care about Donica, but those other two, they're important to me. And I'll do what I can to keep them safe.
Their safety should be the last of your concerns. But
he kind of scoffs at that, but he doesn't like say anything. He lets him finish.
But if it is your wish, remember my leniency today, Bruja. Next time you come to me with such propositions again from you or the childer under your wing, you will not walk from this office.
Understood.
Have a pleasant evening.
And he would smile that easy smile that Toph usually has, but he has to force it this time. You too. And he is going to walk out of that office. And let me tell you something. If Toph could breathe, he probably would do one of those when he gets out of the room. But thankfully, he doesn't have to breathe. So he just kind of walks out, cool, closes the door.
Absolutely. So,
oh, just real quick. Well, actually, you go.
No, I'm just saying that you can either rejoin your friends or what. I imagine they're both still waiting right outside.
Toph, wherever Tess is, Toph is going to go up to her really quick, grab her by her waist and pick her up and said, "You did great," and set her back down.
We can discuss this another time. Now is not the place.
So what is it you wish to do? Where is it you wish to go?
What kind of music do you guys like? Toph would ask as maybe we're walking towards the elevator.
Take my pick from a lot of different stuff.
And he's
Why?
just trying to. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Did you say why, Jeff?
Yeah.
He goes, and he's just trying to kind of unwind from the tense meeting with Mr. G. He says, because I know this guy, and I think he could probably get us some tickets. You know, I think we've earned a night of relaxation, something to unwind.
It's maybe the first sensible thing you've said so far tonight.
Yeah, when they are getting close to exiting the building, or exiting maybe the floor, Tess is gonna look around, and she's looking for the contractor folder or whatever information Mr. G promised as they're walking out. Looking around expectantly, see if somebody is holding it.
Yeah, as you arrive at where the receptionist, you're informed that after a short wait, you will be receiving that and also an additional package.
How short of a wait? We were here almost an hour last time.
Oh, I assure you it won't be long, the person at the desk says with an unconvincing sneer.
Relaxing sounds great, guys. If you want to go ahead, I can wait on this.
Are you going or are you leaving, Tess? What are you doing? That's to the other two. Sorry, are you going and leaving? Tess? There we go.
No,
yeah.
Toph's not leaving. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, after
I imagine both look at each other and then just back at Tess and they're just like shake their head.
Okay. So after it is only a short wait, thankfully, you see that there is a black binder that is pressed into your hands. It has a blank cover, albeit for an inlay, which is sort of like this floral design. And also there is a box about that big, wrapped in brown paper. That is all you will need for now, apparently, the vampire at the desk says.
Thank you.
Is there anything else?
That'll be all.
And he begins typing on his computer again. Where are you guys going?
So Toph has this ally that is a producer. He met him because he wants to make his band successful, and they had struck off this friendship. So he would ask to borrow Siegfried's phone when they're in the elevator, and I imagine it's one of those, "What do you need it for? Just give me your phone. What do you need it for?" Kind of like they had before. And then he's like, "I just gotta call a guy to get some tickets." And what he's going to want to do is try to see if he can score 3 tickets to some sort of show that Siegfried and Tess would appreciate. And maybe Toph. But he's really thinking about them at this point.
Absolutely. Siegfried, why don't you tell us what kind of evening's entertainment you would be after?
Would Toph make it apparent that it's like Siegfried's choice?
He certainly would. Because he doesn't know how to operate the phone. You could surf. Like you could just look it up, and it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I imagine that Siegfried would try to find some show, probably more of like a theater show than like a musical, something that he knows Toph would just despise, just as kind of a jab towards him. Like still finding something that he would enjoy because he's into that kind of thing. So I don't know what would be available, but he would try to find something like that.
Okay, you're able to find what is likely the most abstract and avant-garde and weird kind of expressionistic theatre, just like like it's all different kinds of pretentious and weird. You discover that at a theatre in the off West End, which is called like the smaller theatres, there is a production of a brand new avant-garde masterpiece called Rust, and it actually has its premiere tonight. Perhaps you'll be able to go to that. If your vampiric powers don't get you good tickets to shows opening night, then what is it good for?
Yeah, Siegfried would like find that, and he'd be like, he would just kind of like add the tickets to like to the system, and then just like, yeah, I think I got something tough. It should be pretty cool.
Toph has no idea what he's in for, and it'll be too late by the time he does.
Okay. So are you going to go directly to the theatre? You won't have that long before the curtain call.
Tessa looks at the binder in the box because Siegfried, could we perhaps leave this elsewhere?
Yeah, that's fine. We can probably change anyways. And he kind of like looks, realizing that Toph's the only one that's actually changed since like the last like 32 hours at this point. And leave it at home.
I'm sure Toph would have offered you guys a change of clothes if you wanted.
Right.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, so I think Siegfried would want to run home so they could leave the all the stuff there, the package and the binder and all the information.
Sorry, my headphones were a bit weird. So you're going to Siegfried's to drop off that stuff, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Are you going to open the box at all, or are you going to leave it sealed for another time?
When we get there, she's going to open it and be flipping through the binder a little bit as well, just skimming it mostly for the moment.
For sure. So when you open it, there are 2 mobile phones inside with boxes. There is also a black wallet which contains a new card with your name upon it, Tess, with a note saying the other one's been cancelled. The folder itself seems to contain all kinds of strange, archaic writings and laws and rituals.
Yeah, Tessa's skimming it, seeing if there's any like familiar terms, particularly pertaining to the joint and several liability, which is what they're in right now, where you have a group of people beholden to a debt, and maybe some of them have to pay it, but definitely somebody does, maybe not all. And
okay, why don't we actually roll some dice this game?
I think I have like points in law or something. I think that's a thing.
I was going to say, I think
Yeah,
we should probably make you roll for that to see how
do.
successful you are at doing that. Because I reckon it will be pretty good if you've got lots in law.
We'll see. Depends on what the dice
it's in the knowledges, isn't it? Law, absolutely.
It is. Intelligence, wits. What is this?
So that would definitely be intelligence and
Okay.
and law. Yes.
Intelligence and law. Really? It's opaque. It is entirely opaque.
How many did you get?
I got 1, but then I had a 1. So I had 1 success, but then my 1 canceled it out.
Did you only have one?
Yes.
Okay. I won't let you confuse yourself even more and make it even even more difficult the next time you go back. Yeah, it's as much as you're trying to like link it to modern day law, like it's just so outside of it's akin to feudalism, right? Really, rather than anything like a modern kind of political sort of system would use, like. But you reckon with time, perhaps you'll be able to, work it out. You did it with modern law, you'll be able to do it with this one. So it'll take reading and time.
Yeah, no, she'll kind of flip through it and then close it and put it down. Like, I feel like I need to do history research. I haven't had a history class in forever, but God, that's opaque.
Toph has no idea what Tess is even talking about. He's just been kind of just sitting there quietly in Siegfried's apartment. He's not even picking on Sig like he normally would do. He just seems to be really lost in thought. And when you say that, Tess, it kind of brings him out of that. And he looks at you. And I don't know if Sig's nearby or if he's off in another room changing. Listen. We made a promise that we were going to be honest with each other, right?
Right?
Yes.
So, Mr. G, he asked me to do something.
But Toph,
And he's just kind of
What?
like, he rubs his face, kind of rubs his hands together, stands up, walks off to one of your windows and just looks out at it. He's just like, he can't look at either one of you. He wants me to talk. He wants me to tell him. He wants me to tell him about Donica.
Well, I wonder why.
kind of sold him out.
You fucked up, Toph. I was going to try and get Donica out of that contract regardless, but what were you thinking?
What was I thinking? He
You
turns
put them on to
around.
him.
I was thinking of you. I don't know what's. I'm really good at taking care of myself. I'm new at this. I didn't want. And he struggles with the word. He goes, I didn't want to care about you guys. But I do. But Donica, he's changed. I don't want anything bad to happen to Don either. But listen to me. You have to think about yourselves too. Should I have done it? Fuck, no, I shouldn't have. But I thought if I could make Mr. G just see that it's not you, yeah, I fucked up. I can't change that. But I'm telling you. Shit, I shouldn't even be telling you to. and he just kind of falls like defeated in whatever chair is near that window. Puts his head in his hands like this.
I'm going to try and do the best I can. Mr. G, in spite of my request for a woman, has decided that he will be the one to teach, mentor, whatever. I don't really know what that will look like, but my hope is that if I can play along well enough, then maybe I can learn some useful information. I don't know if I can help Donica after this, not after what you did, Toph. Not if they're expecting you to be reporting back to them about God knows what.
He's not really sure how to say it. He kind of looks up at you, Tess. He's like, what we have to do is we have to save Donica from himself without him knowing. He can't know about this, but we have to keep him out of trouble.
Oh, no, you can't tell him. He would kill you, or he would try. I'm sure you could probably take him, but he would try and kill you. Sig, you gotta be with us on this.
Sig, he listens to you. And he would look pleadingly at you, Sig.
And Sig's eyes fall away, down, and go towards the ground, away from Utah. Just bites his lip nervously. I don't know. It's just a little disappointing. When Tess was in Winchester, we all drop life and limb, break in, get her out at all costs, and I stand by that. With my entire being and soul, I stand by that. But then to see you immediately turn away and throw Donica under the bus, it really doesn't sit with me. I know you're worried about us and what he's going to do. He's still a friend. And whatever you do, don't say about Mr. G, you can fuck off about saying that connections are bad. They've been the only thing that's kept me sane so far. I'll kind of look at Toph and then over at Tess. You guys are the only reason that I'm here and not like them. Stand by that over anything else and need to be for each other. You got to start telling us what's going on, Toph.
He nods at you, Sig. And he's probably thinking to himself, well, fuck, I am. But not, he probably misses the little nuance of what Sig is saying that about like keeping him in the loop right off. But then he says, and the other thing we got to do, we have to get this shit done for Mr. G, but we can't let Don know.
I'm not keeping that from him.
No. What I mean is, I don't want Don to think that he has to do it too.
Oh,
Don needs to know that we're going to take care of it. That he doesn't have to
do it anyways. Come on.
Something tells me he's not going to comply one way or the other.
Right. But Toph is thinking, if we can do it, the three of us can do it, then by that we will be protected. That's one way that we can protect Don. because we'll be fulfilling the contract. And other than that, Don can go off and do what most of the shit that Don wants to do.
They're gonna ask you what he's doing. You know that, right? What are you gonna say when they do?
I'll make it up when it comes when the time comes.
You'll have to be honest with them at some point. Maybe when he's a little less concerned about everything. But perhaps you can just feed them mostly correct, or at least partially correct information. Siegfried, there was something about a club that you two were looking into, and we know he was supposed to be working with Faig and looking at moving to Downstreet, and if you want to tell him all those things, just little bits and pieces.
When you say that, Toph would interrupt and say, I don't want to know any of that. What I don't know, I can't say. Right?
No. The best lies have a grain of truth. A half-truth is better than a whole lie.
Toph listens to that because he figures that Tess is really good at this. Okay, I kind of see where you're coming from there. So you don't just tell a bold-faced lie, you kind of mix it in with the truth.
Doesn't everybody know that? Pedestrian.
No, Toph gives you this sly little smile, like I may not be a high-powered lawyer, but I'm not an idiot, kind of a smile. So you know that he's playing with you.
So, you have but a short while now before you are to attend the smash hit new play off the West End, Rust. So, if you still intend to go to the theatre, now would be the time. Or you could blow it off. It's up to you.
Sig would kind of look to the others and say, we'll have plenty of time to work through this as we go, but at least for a couple hours, let's just go try to have a good time.
We cut to a darkened room. The lights go out and the audience hush as the show begins. You are each in incredibly uncomfortable seats, but you are in the dress circle of this small, ramshackled black box theatre. The lights go up. Just a normal state. And you can see particles of dust floating in the air as a number of individuals dressed in all black walk on. They have white painted faces and each holds a sign. One of the signs says hatred, and the person holding the sign then says hatred. A number of people run from the wings and start circling the individual clutching this hatred sign and scream, "This is wrong, this 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 is wrong," louder and louder and louder. It crescendos, and there is a blackout and a scream. The lights come up. The one clasping the hatred sign has gone. This repeats with all different, seemingly unconnected and random terms. Hatred goes, obviously. Bigotry is on another. all different types of just random unconnected phrases get circled by the performers, and then there's a scream, a blackout, and then they disappear. And then the final one comes on after about 2 hours of this and holds up his sign that says consumerism. And he turns the sign around and there's a mirror upon it. And the audience behold that they are the consumerists, and they are to blame for the world in the state that it is. Scream, blackout, rust. There is a mixed applause that runs through the theatre, and the bows take ever such a long time. And you have now seen an off-West End avant-garde show. And you can talk about it in the bar.
Toph, as he's like slowly clapping, says through these clenched teeth just loud enough for Tess and Sig to hear. He goes, "I'm going to find out who made this fucking thing and kill them."
I picture Tess as like sitting right between the two guys, and she's just like, "It's fine, Toph. It's over now. No stupidity."
Wasn't that great, Toph? I really appreciate you hooking us up with some great tickets like this. It was really nice to see. Oh, it was just really, I really appreciate you doing this. Wasn't that great?
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I need a drink. Let's go.
Yeah, you're able to
And
get
they'll
it.
kind of like
Go ahead,
nudge
Jeff.
Tess
Sorry.
and like just kind of they'll just kind of like nudge Tess as he says that, and like just like, yeah.
You're all able to get drinks at the bar that are obscenely expensive and likely watered down. And you're able to, you have premier tickets, you have like a VIP area that you can go to. The only difference is that the seats are surrounded by like a red cord that goes around it. Like literally the VIP area just has a cord around it. And there's the hustle and bustle of people discussing this new hit show. Is there anything you wish to discuss whilst you're in the VIP area with your drinks? Or is there anything you wish to do?
I think Tess probably just got soda water because she's still working on figuring out how to drink something human-wise and doesn't want to waste the money.
Excellent. As you're sort of relaxing and enjoying your drinks and just, I suppose, watching humanity move by before you, Siegfried, you spot someone coming towards you, someone you recognize. Cinder has also been invited to this premiere, and she just steps over the ribbon. She's wearing like this evening dress, but she steps over, just sits down in between all of you and says, "What did you think?"
Tess elbows Toph before he can say anything.
It was really good, huh, Toph? Why don't you say what you thought?
It was very avant-garde. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I think. I'm so glad we were able to make it on opening night. Right, Sig? Game highly recommended. Actually, to see it again would be a sin. I don't want to blemish the memory of the show that I had tonight.
Oh, there you have it.
This is where all the arts funding goes these days. She rolls her eyes and she takes a sip of her drink. There's a party that's happening later. A few of us are going to the nest. If you want to join, you'll be more than welcome.
Is she just speaking to Siegfried?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sig will just kind of look over to Toph and then to Tess, and then back up. Maybe. It's possible. Just kind of doing like the polite, like artist thing of like,
Yeah.
I'll definitely come to the post-show hang. Probably.
Yeah.
You know the one.
It's like I'm definitely coming, but I'm just gonna pretend that. Yeah, absolutely. She just gives a nod and she smiles. We'll be upstairs. Come and find us. The nest. Don't forget.
Is she still sitting there or does she leave?
Yeah, I should have said she leaves. Just trying to imply that she left, but whatever. Yeah.
Who's your friend?
She's same clan that I am, apparently. We were looking for some people to try to find out. She was one of the people we found.
Oh, the one that you and Toph went to her house.
Yeah.
She's pretty.
I think she likes Siegfried. I can tell. I can see the way she looks at him.
That's sick. Maybe you should go to that party. Go find the nest. Be a little baby bird.
I don't know. Those kinds of things aren't really my thing.
There's that great awkward silence. Like everybody kind of not knowing what to say.
Finish your drinks.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not that far a walk actually to get to the nest, at least not far from the public transport required to get you there. It shouldn't take too long. If you're all going, that is. Okay. Oh, God.
Siegfried, I mean, you should go. I think I'm more likely to maybe go back to your place and curl up with a fuzzy blanket and a movie, but you should go.
I don't know. Been kind of crazy for a while. I don't know if a crazy party's really what I'm feeling right now.
I think you should listen to her, Sig. Might be a distraction that would be good for you. You seem to hit it off with her. Well, I didn't really see it all because she left me in the hallway, but seemed to like you hit it off. You know?
I don't know. He looks at Tess, but he says, "Just I think I'd rather just hang with you guys, to be honest."
Can you all make me an alertness check, please? Alertness and wits. Sorry, not alertness. Awareness. which means something else.
I get 1 die on that, but I did manage to get 1 success.
Okay, 1.
2.
2. Toph, you hear something very, very faint. Someone or something is screaming. And your eyes are drawn to a dark alleyway.
Did you guys hear that? There. And probably Siegfried would see it because he is as fast, if maybe faster than Toph. But to Tess, it would be a blur as he kind of moves quickly with celerity towards the alleyway.
Yep, you see, and Toph basically celerities to the alleyway. Once he draws your attention to it, you can hear.
God, I don't want to follow the noise. That's what they do in the horror movies. Can we just, for once, not? I'll go if you go, Sig.
Yeah, Sig will kind of take a couple steps closer to Tess, and then kind of think for a second and just say, "We did say something about sticking together." He says begrudgingly, very begrudgingly.
Yep, I'll turn and head to where the blur disappeared, the dark alley.
Yeah, you're all able to reach it, and with your vampiric vision, you'll be able to see easily in the dark. You see that there is a figure that's crumpled at the end of the alleyway, and you can see a number of figures surrounding it, all wearing black, it seems. Like hoodies.
So at the mouth of this alleyway, that's where Toph would stop. Does he hear heart or sense heartbeats from these hoodied figures?
Yes, you do.
Okay. He would just yell, "Hey, what you guys up to?"
One of them turns, and as he does, this individual, you see that his face is obscured with almost what looks like a ski mask, like a cross between like a ski and a hockey mask, like a stunt mask, essentially, with a hood pulled up. In his gloved hands, he holds a baseball bat and gives one of his friends a nod, who continues to beat the figure upon the ground.
The figure on the ground, is that a human as well?
Looks to be male, young, mid-20s.
I imagine the others would get up about that time, so I don't know what they want to do.
Yeah, sure. The one at the end of the alleyway is just staring at you through the mask.
Tess pulls out her phone and starts videoing. And says, "We'll call the cops. Leave him alone."
The individual in the mask just looks and wordlessly looks to his companions, 6 of them in total, and just gives a nod. And they all start walking out of the alleyway, each of them holding weapons. One of them has like a metal pipe, another one has a chain, baseball bat.
Towards us?
Yep.
Oh shit! I thought they were going the other way.
No, they're just
Sig is
striding
gonna,
towards
step.
you.
Sig is gonna step a little defensively between Tess and all the peoples.
Tess just kind of mutters under their breath, "There's no way they're as good as Winchester."
Toph is going to look around for anything that might look like it could be used as a weapon.
Sure, there's a number of dumpsters. There's a steel bin, trash thing. That's about it in terms of weapons. They're approaching with a sort of casual speed almost, and one of them, as it's approaching, you can hear beneath the mask a voice says, "If you trick them into believing that there is prey, they will hear. They're scavengers. And they seek something they can bring down easily. Let us show them that we are not the same." And it's then that they break into a run and go to attack you. So, let me see. So, one of them comes out of nowhere and is going to swing a chain at you, Siegfried, as you're the one that stepped forward. I would like you to make your combat roll, please, using whatever you wish.
Yes, sir. I'll be brawl. Oh, Jesus. Uh, 7.
Oh, you succeed. He rolled incredibly well. Tell me how you're able to evade this chain as it swings at you. It swings at your face.
Yeah, like he sees this person running, and it's like as they start to sprint, and it's clear that the intent is to attack. You can feel kind of the adrenaline pump as time and speed seem to shift. The chain goes from swinging at blurring speed to slowing, moving at a almost as if going through water as time slows due to his celerity, as he manages to just step outside of its range, leaning back as it just whips right over him.
Perfect. One is going to try and bring a steel pipe down upon Toff. So make your attack roll as well, please. Oh, this is good. You have to exceed 7 for you to succeed.
I just got 7. I didn't exceed it.
So in that case, you're going to take just 1 bludgeoning damage as this steel pole basically just catches you in the side of the mouth. Like it's a glancing blow, but it's still enough.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is basically going to try and seize you, Tess, by the face. They're basically just going to just grab you like that. They are moving with a particular speed and strength that doesn't mean that they're entirely normal. So your attack roll as well, please, Tess.
Five.
This one basically runs up, grabs you like by the head like that, and just shoves you down to the ground, and you take 2 bludgeoning damage as you basically bounce off the concrete up on the ground. So Siegfried, you're up.
Yeah, Siegfried is going to see this person grab Tess and shove her down next to him. And he is going to try to return the favor and smash him in the face in return.
Absolutely, roll it up.
That is 6 successes.
Oh, so you just break past his defenses and deliver exactly the same back to him. And he sort of staggers back into the darkness as you strike. Tough.
So the one that strikes him with a pipe, with like blinding speed, Toph just brings his foot up into his chest. Let me roll here. Yes. And I'm going to expend a blood point to make my potency dice successes.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8.
Oh, okay. Tell me what happens as you smash this one to the floor.
That's it. Oh, he doesn't. He like kicks him so hard that the guy literally flies back and hits the building. And I'm gonna also actually split one of my celerity to take another action at the end of everyone's turn.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah, this guy basically flies backwards and smashes into stone, and you can hear it and watch it crack before your eyes. Tess.
Tess, from her spot on the ground, kicks out at the guy's head. I'm pretty sure Siegfried had just dropped that one guy. And so he's next to her, and she's going to kick her boot straight in his face. Five.
Tell me what happens when you smash this individual.
The heel of her boot goes straight into the bridge of his nose. And there's this crunch.
Yeah, absolutely goes down. My goodness. The remaining 3, I'm going to make a test. They will fight on regardless. One of them is basically the one with the baseball bat is basically going to smash the bat down, and his strength shows in this particular move as he breaks the top of the bat off, leaving this jagged, pointed wooden spike. And he is going to do his best to drive it into. I'm going to make this entirely random. Siegfried. He is going to try and stake you. Let's see. Give me your combat roll. Tell me how many successes you get. Okay.
That's 5 for me.
Tell me how you just stop the stake short of your heart, or your chest, rather.
Yeah, so he's like throwing this guy to the ground, and then this other person like charges with the bat, and he's like just able to catch it out of the corner of his eye, and he like sees the person like thrust forward trying to like jab it in, and he just like manages to like bring his arm up and like turn at the very last second, like, and there's just like a graze as some of the splinters like go against his chest, where his heart was moments before.
Amazing. Another one rushes out of the darkness and basically is just kind of trying to hurl his full weight against you, Toph. He's literally just going to try and tackle you to the ground at this point. So your roll as well, please. Six to beat.
No, Toph is too busy. She's distracted by the one that is trying to stake. And he's getting ready to move over there when the other one just comes and just tackles him to the ground.
Absolutely. This shows that these individuals know at least partly what they're doing in terms of fighting your kind. And you get taken out, bam, to the ground. A heavy-set individual is on top of you. You notice as he's on top of you, his skin is grey almost, a grey kind of color to it. As you, like, as part of his sleeve gets wrenched off him. And he's basically like struggling with you basically on the ground. Tess, the last of the thugs is basically going to just run up and he's going to try his best to boot you in the face as you're getting up from the ground. So your combat roll, please. Okay, I'm re-rolling that because that was a crit. 7 to beat. What did you get? Any damage?
4.
Okay, so you take 3 points of bludgeoning damage, so half that. I haven't halved it this time. Rounded up. I'm sorry, 2. So you basically take a boot to the face as you were trying to get up from the alleyway floor. It's now Siegfried's turn.
Actually, Toph had an action at the end.
Yes, you
from
are
using his
absolutely
celerity.
correct. Yes, thank you for reminding me.
So what he was going to do, he doesn't do because this big gray-skinned buffoon has tackled him to the ground. So he just reaches up and he just digs deep and just to try to crack this guy or whatever it is. It's clearly not human ish. So that is only a 5.
It's enough. Tell me what happens.
So that's what it is. You just hear this cracking of bone, and he just sees Tess getting kicked, and that just creates that rush of anger in him, and he can feel the blood pumping, and he can feel that he is starting to get pissed.
Amazing. So Siegfried now.
Yeah, so this stake just barely manages to like graze by him, and Siegfried's going to like grab at his arm and then just try to like smash him in the face with an elbow as he like stumbles past him, missing the attack. With 7 successes.
Oh, just short. You succeed. Tell me how you finish him.
Yeah, so he like thrusts the stake forward, but missing Siegfried with like you may be used to fighting vampires, but not every vampire has like multi levels of celerity reaction speed. So like the miss kind of sends him off balance, not expecting the movement. He just like grabs the arm, like pulls him in, and just like elbows him in the face, like knocking him to the ground before slamming him one more time to knock him out.
Rad. That's really cool, man. I like that. That's a cool move. Toph, it's now your normal turn.
Yeah, Toph just totally just tosses this gray behemoth off of him, and he quickly springs to his feet and runs to tackle himself to tackle the one that booted Tess.
Absolutely.
But he's also afraid, not just about Tess being injured, but he's also afraid because he feels like his control is starting to slip, which is very scary for Toph. But he tackles this guy. Boom! He is pissed. Holy shit. All right. I got 2 10s, so I'll re-roll those. Okay. So that's 7.
Tell me how you batter this last one to
So
end.
just imagine he tackles him, and he's never played football, he's never played rugby, but if a coach or a scout were watching him, they'd want him to play. As he tackles him, and there's a loud audible snap as he slams this guy against a building on the other side of this alley, and his neck and back just snap. And then he just stands up and lets the body fall, and then he turns really quickly. He goes, "Tess, are you okay?"
She's getting up. I'm fine, but how many more are there? Do I see, Rob?
I think that was the last one, wasn't it? Or did I miss one?
Oh, but there were people still down at the end of the alley, right?
No, those were all of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There is someone still down at the end of the alleyway, though, who appeared to be very badly injured when you last looked.
The minute that Toph hears Tess's voice, it doesn't sound distressed in the sense that she's okay, and he looks and she looks okay. Like the injuries are already starting to heal, lighten. He would feel that, and they would see his hands just clenching, and then they just slows down, and he goes. Then he remembers the young man at the end of the hallway or at the end of the alleyway, and he would look at Sig and say, "Make sure Tess is okay," and he would go and see who this young boy is.
You walk over to the individual upon the ground, and you see that while alive, this individual has been disemboweled. Guts beneath what looks to be like just a bathing towel that they put over him, basically, and you can see that a number of his innards are missing. All of you are able to see as the individuals that you'd knocked down and defeated are slowly rising up, but they're not rising up normally. They're not getting to their feet. They're being pulled up as if by strings, like marionettes. And then you see beneath the hoodies that have been ripped in the combat, you can see parts of the entrails have been tied around their limbs, essentially. And with blood seeping from all of them, broken from your attacks in the alleyway, they begin to lurch horrifyingly towards you. And that is where we're going to leave the session this evening. So, thank you ever so much for my wonderful players, and for those of you watching, thank you ever so much for checking this video out. We are going to finish up, as we always do, with XP. To begin with, you will get a point for showing up. So remember that. And then we're going to talk about learning curves and role-playing, or like highlight moments for each character. And this time we're going to go with the learning curve, beginning with Siegfried. So take it away. Jeff, what did Siegfried learn?
I think Siegfried is starting to understand both the good and bad complexities of Toph a little bit more. Like, he kind of always viewed him as just this straightforward, brash, straight up person with nothing to hide. And he's kind of figuring out that there's more and more down beneath the surface that Toph has not been showing. That's both getting them into trouble and also probably helping them in a way that he doesn't quite understand yet. And like, seeing that play out is kind of changing the way that he looks at Toph.
Perfect. And Toph, what was Toph's learning curve today?
Oh man, Toph's always learning something, much to his chagrin. I think his learning curve this session was, he needs to trust Sig and Tess more. He doesn't have to do it on his own, and that was a learning curve in the Shard. He went to the Shard, he had this plan, but he didn't bring them into it, and it kind of went tits up for a while there. And thank God for Tess, who kind of jumped in and was able to save it. And so I think that's really his learning curve is, it's not just about protecting them, but you got to trust them, and that's what I think he really learned this session.
I agree. Yeah, beautifully put. And what did Tess learn?
I think Tess was really surprised that Mr. G was the one who advocated that they not be destroyed. That was not something she'd anticipated, and she is very interested to probe more into that.
For sure. Well, he was the one that welcomed you to the night.
Welcome is a very strong word.
It was a great welcome, I thought. Perfect. Okay, so role-playing moments now. And character highlights. This is where we discuss, as a group, what cool things we all did. And we'll start with Siegfried. What cool thing did Siegfried do? Or role-playing moment?
Okay, it's hard to choose. I think the theater thing was excellent. And like picking the show, that was a fun moment. I really liked that.
I call it foul because Taylor took mine, because that was so great and so miserable for Toph to have to sit through that thing. But I think another good moment that I like it would be the second one is when we're in Mr. G's office and Siegfried spoke up and he showed a lot of backbone in there, and actually stood up for Donica in his own fashion. I really like that.
Agreed. Like, I really liked that he was like, no, I'm not throwing him under the bus, even though, like, I'd rather go down with him than side with the likes of what these people are suggesting. So that was pretty cool, man. What was Toph's role-playing moment?
I really liked the coming clean moment where we get back to Siegfried's place, and he actually, despite like kind of going even after like the conversation they had about Donica, went again behind their back to talk to Mr. G. So like, yeah, I'll keep you in the loop, but you shouldn't tell anyone. But then to turn around and be like, no, I need to get this out there. Like, I don't want to do that to them, and like showing kind of this push between like him caring, like legitimately, genuinely caring about Sig and Tess, to the point where he was willing to share what was probably very secret information that he is going to get in trouble for telling them if it comes out.
For real.
I liked that Toph actually shut up when Tess told him to. I wasn't sure if he would, and then he was just like, "Oh, that's great."
It's interesting. Yeah. I like that you did, because there's a lot of people that play role-playing games and you would tell their character to shut up and they'd be like, I don't want my character to shut up. So it's cool that you all embrace these moments. Tess, what was Tess's role-playing moment?
I mean, just letting Mr. G have it was fantastic, of just like knowing that she's playing with fire, but still just like, nope, I'm in charge here. This is my element. Like, to see her kind of get her, like we saw Donica with the infiltration stealth mission, and to see Tess kind of get her own like highlight of her skill set, and what she's about was super cool. I was glad to finally see that come out.
Yeah, that I just want to piggyback on that and say that was such a great moment, and she was so tactical in how she did it, and you could tell that she was probing Mr. G, and that was just it was so great to see. But the role-playing moment is the other half of the one that Taylor said, is when Tess just says, shut up, just shut up. And I'm just like, that was so great. As a player, it totally caught me off guard, but it was so great because I could see Toph having that same reaction. I'm like, okay. That was great. I loved it. I love to see that Tess have that backbone. You know, it's like her element.
It was something that I've been waiting for a while, because Gisborne is a Ventru and they prize their own kind above anyone else. So it was nice for him to finally be able to tell you, look, like, I appreciate at least this shred of you because, you know, you're one of us. And that's very much the way they think. So I really enjoyed that conversation with you in particular, Taylor. That was really good. And you held your own very well. And yeah, good stuff. Perfect. Well, thank you guys. Before, I need to keep checking. Any heroism points? Because I think it's pretty heroic that Toph decided to betray Donica for the good of the Camarilla. What do you guys think?
Can we subtract one of his points for that?
No, you can't.
I think he loses experience for that one.
Remember, guys, this is a role-playing game.
Yeah,
He gets the betrayal point of the game award.
Guys, I'm not going to award extra points for your political sort of alignments. I wouldn't do that. Totally take one, Lionel. Just take one. Kidding. Or am I? Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I have. If you like this video, give it a like. If you'd like to see more like it, then give me a subscribe or not. We're all friends here. Or are we? Take it easy and hope that all of your performances are up to standard.